What's up YouTube? Capital G here talking Chaos Dragons in this video and asking, are they actually a viable deck for this format, or was this just a complete blip? So there was this guy named Patrick James. He actually goes to my locals. In fact, I might even on Tuesday go to the locals. It's in Raleigh where I live in North Carolina, called the Hobby Shop, and just ask him like, dude, were you just playing with your hair on fire? Were you playing that good, or is the deck actually good? And you see I'll have the original video right here annotated. This is from the card guys. I really suggest that you guys watch that video. But anyways, he played, I would say, an up-to-date version of Chaos Dragons, and he did 7-1 at a regionals, and I thought that that was pretty impressive. Now, when I play Chaos Dragons on stream, I'm like, man, this deck hardly ever works, and you know, it's just like, it's not even super great. I don't understand how anybody could even think about playing this deck, but obviously he adjusted it to this format, and there's a couple of things that you notice instantly. The first thing, and he explained it in his video, you basically cannot OTK this deck. We know that Cosmos and Performages and Pals, you know, when they throw in there, when they want to pendulum summon heavy with King of the Pharaoh Imps, you know, the Exceed Summoning, and then usually with like Trapeze Magician, they can easily get an OTK board, or the same goes for like Cosmos with essentially attacking like 18 times in the same battle phase. They really want to bring the hammer on you. They really want to like kill you immediately, but you kind of can't OTK this deck. At least I can't think of a way that you can do it unless you flip over like a Mind Drain, because he has 3 Maxis, he has Jerigato, he has 3 copies of Gores, and then he has double damage juggler. So like, you're just basically not going to OTK him, and then when those decks do their plays, he can easily come back with all his boss monsters and just clear their board out, and then obviously try and OTK them. Cosmos, maybe they have another big spaceship in hand. You know, Performages and Pals, outside of Damage Juggler, they don't really have ways of stopping OTKs. The second thing I noticed was he obviously adjusted this deck for like the new meta while still keeping the heart and soul of Chaos Dragons. I mean, Chaos Dragons was essentially like a Lightsworn deck with kind of like splashable dark cards, but then there's so much of the deck was just big ass boss monsters that you could summon 3 of them and you could just kill your opponent, because a lot of them were like 2500 plus, and you see that that core is still there. Excuse me, you see he still has the BLS, Red Eyes, Dark Arm Dragon, you know, Double Light Pulsar Dragon, 3 copies of Gores, which you can luck sack your opponent with. You've got 3 copies of Chaos Sorcerer for instant removal, and then, well, he doesn't play any level 2 tuners. There's no Plague Spreader in here, so, I mean, there's an odd chance, or there's maybe a low chance he could, like, use this with M7 or something like that. But when he summons Chaos Sorcerer and he doesn't use the, like, if he uses the effect, he's probably not going to attack with it because he didn't have a way of getting it off the board. But you see that the big boss monster engine is still there, and when you look at all the level 4s that he runs, you know, half of them are still Lightsworn, which obviously that facilitates you being able to not only get rid of back row, but you being able to mill. You can mill through Raiden's effect, or you can mill through Solar Recharge or Charger Light Brigade. That's why this deck is always gravitated towards running Lightsworns. And you see that he runs the Trown Click. He runs the Clown engine, the Performance engine. This is one thing where I'm like, okay, I see that you needed this to make this deck really good, because obviously it works well with things like instant fusion, but then it serves as defense, it serves as exceed making, it lets you make a lot of plays that would kind of be tough for the deck. I mean, you can go into like a card like this, Queen Dragoon Jin. Like, this card is really, really good for the deck, and it's really, really easy to make if you're running instant fusion and he's maxed out on that, or if you're running Trick Clown and Damage Juggler, etc., etc. And then you have cards like Karee Bandit that just get your Light Pulsars in the graveyard, so you don't have to worry about drawing them. You know, get your Equips Wyverns in the graveyard so that you can actually just search out your Red Eyes, search out your BLS. And I imagine that outside of having to jump through hoops against like back row decks, and you know, for back row decks he sided in like 3 Royal Decrees and stuff like that, I think that this deck would be pretty good as a deck that's just not gonna get OTK'd and then being able to just punch your opponent in the face. You know, a card like Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, this is a card that a lot of people have not picked up on, and they don't realize how good this card is. This card can just literally come out and nuke the entire board, and then you can just basically like like wave the flag of go kill your opponent. You know, summon a BLS after that, summon a Dark Arm after that, because your opponent's board is completely wiped. This card is amazing. I think I'm actually gonna have to pick up a copy of this, but I want to know what you guys think. Was this the build? Do you guys think that Chaos Dragons are viable now? Do you think that Patrick James just got lucky? Again, the next time that I see him, I'm just gonna ask him straight up, like, dude, is this deck really good? But in theory, it makes a lot of sense. Now, when Cyber Dragon Infinity comes out, I don't know how good this deck's going to be, because you've got a card that your opponent can just be like, all right, no, you don't get to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Now. But then again, if you have the 3 Max Cs, you open up with that. I guess if your opponent wants to get the Cyber Dragon Infinity, they're going to have to give you like 18 cards, you know what I mean? They'll have to give you tons of draws. So I think that this was probably like one of the most interesting things that has topped this format outside of like the Yang Zings and the Zephyr Yang Zings and whatnot. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching. As always, good to see that there's still always, like, you know, freshness in Yu-Gi-Oh, where everybody thought it'd be basically all pendulums and all cosmos, and then you get like random Chaos Dragons that top. Thank you guys for watching as always.